Bitcoin just dropped below $80,000. The man who swore he would never sell Bitcoin just said he might sell Bitcoin. Germany is quietly moving to crush the most investor-friendly crypto tax rule in Europe. And here's the part nobody is talking about. The biggest week in crypto history hasn't even started yet. I'm Tony, and this is your daily crypto and stock briefing for May 8th, 2026. Let's get into it. Let's run through today's market. The good. The S&P 500 closed at 73.98, a new all-time record. The Nasdaq hit 26,247, also a record. Both indexes have now posted 6 straight weeks of gains. That is the longest winning streak since 2024. April jobs came in at 115,000, almost double what economists expected. And JPMorgan published a report saying Bitcoin is replacing gold as the primary inflation hedge. When JPMorgan says that, the whole financial world listens. The bad? Crypto got hammered. U.S. airstrikes in Iran triggered a risk-off panic across all digital assets. Bitcoin slipped below $77,000 at its low. Ethereum dropped over 6%. $344 million in long positions got liquidated in 24 hours. The Fear and Greed Index is back at 38. That's the fear zone. And Coinbase had a multi-hour outage tied to an Amazon Web Services failure, right as they announced a 14% workforce reduction and a weaker-than-expected Q1. The ugly, a long-dormant Bitcoin whale moved 11,300 Bitcoin to exchanges, sparking speculation about a major sell. Germany is quietly moving to kill its crypto-friendly tax regime. More on that in a minute. And Michael Burry, the guy from The Big Short, is warning that the stock market is starting to look like the dot-com bubble. If he's right, crypto takes the hit first. Here's where the major coins are sitting right now. Bitcoin, 79,800, down 1.81%. Ethereum, 2283, down 2.5%. XRP, 141, down 6.6%. Solana, 8859. Dogecoin took a 4% hit. Now, the standouts. PAR-OS token exploded 48% today after getting listed on both Upbit and BitHum, two of the biggest Korean exchanges. Volume exploded overnight. That's the kind of listing catalyst you want to see. Siren was up 21%, a low-cap breakout with serious volume behind it. ONDO jumped 9%, and this one is important. I'll explain why in a second. On the losing side, Skyway AI dropped nearly 26%. Sentiment collapse. Stay away for now. Morpho and Doge also took significant hits in the broader risk-off environment. Here's why ONDO matters. Ripple partnered with JPMorgan and MasterCard to complete the world's first cross-border redemption of a tokenized U.S. Treasury. Real-world asset tokenization just got its biggest real-world proof point. And ONDO is one of the direct beneficiaries of that narrative. XRP is holding near 140 with a coiled spring technical setup. Analysts have breakout targets at 230 to 264. The Clarity Act is the trigger, and we'll talk about that later. Now, this is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Let's talk stocks. 5 names worth watching this week. Number 1, SOFI Technologies, SOFI, trading around $8. This is a fintech and crypto bridge play. They just dipped on guidance concerns, which for patient investors could be an entry point. Number 2, Core Scientific, CORZ, around $9. This is a former Bitcoin miner that's pivoting hard into AI data center colocation. Their AI hosting revenue hit $77.5 million this quarter. The pivot is real. Number 3, RIOT Platforms, RIOT, around $10. Also in the mining to AI pivot. They just signed a deal with AMD to double AI computing capacity to 50 megawatts at their Texas facility. Number 4, Robinhood, HOOD, around $22. Crypto volume is growing on the platform. If the Clarity Act passes, Robinhood is a direct beneficiary of clearer trading rules. Number 5, Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, MSTR. This one's complicated this week. Saylor just announced a $12.5 billion quarterly loss and then said he might sell Bitcoin to cover dividends. The stock dropped, but they still hold 818,000 Bitcoin. The sell-off after those comments could be an entry point for the long-term believer. As always, None of this is financial advice. Do your own research. Links in the description. 5 crypto picks to watch this week. Number 1. XRP at 141. Risk. High. The Ripple JPMorgan MasterCard tokenized Treasury redemption is a genuine fundamental catalyst. If the Clarity Act moves forward in the Senate next week, XRP could break hard to the upside. The coiled spring setup is real. The 150 resistance is the ceiling to watch. Number 2. Bitcoin at 79.8. Risk, medium. Arthur Hayes called 125,000. The new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, owns Bitcoin personally. That is genuinely unprecedented. Bitcoin is holding above key support even with Iran tensions. That is a show of strength. Number 3. ONDO at 34 cents. Risk, high. The biggest gainer today for a reason. Real-world asset tokenization is the dominant institutional narrative right now. And Ripple's deal with JPMorgan and MasterCard just put the exclamation point on it. Number 4. Ethereum at 22.83. Risk, medium. The Glamsterdam upgrade is coming before the end of H1 2026, which targets better scalability and decentralization. ETF inflows hit 101 million on May 1st. This dip could be an accumulation zone. Number 5. Solana at 88.59. Risk, medium. The Frontier Hackathon wraps up May 11th with $250,000 in prizes. Developer activity is one of the strongest long-term price signals in crypto. Solana's developer ecosystem is still growing. Here's the big picture case for why this week matters. Bitcoin held above $79,000 despite U.S. airstrikes in Iran. Think about that. The world's military situation escalated, and Bitcoin didn't collapse. That is strength. That is a maturing asset class. The S&P 500 just hit an all-time high. Money is flowing. Some of that rotation finds its way into crypto, and especially as institutional ETF flows remain positive over the past 2 months. Fear and greed at 38. Historically, that is a buy zone, not a panic zone. The people who bought during fear have consistently outperformed the people who panicked. And now look at what's happening next week, May 12th. The April CPI inflation report drops at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. If inflation cools, the Fed has room to cut rates. That is a massive tailwind for crypto. If it comes in hot, and with oil near $95 a barrel because of Iran, expect volatility. Week of May 11th. The Clarity Act. Senate Banking Committee markup is expected to happen. This is the biggest crypto regulatory moment in American history. It would define which tokens are commodities, which are securities, and give the entire industry legal clarity for the first time. XRP, Doge, Ethereum, all directly affected. May 15th. Jerome Powell's term as Fed chair ends. Kevin Warsh takes the helm. Warsh personally owns Bitcoin. He has called it the new gold. He has invested in Solana, DYDX, Bitwise, and more than 20 blockchain companies. This is the most crypto-friendly Fed chair in history. But, and this is important, every Fed chair transition since 2014 has been followed by a Bitcoin sell-off. Watch this carefully. All right, this is the section most channels skip. Let's go. Story 1. Saylor blinks. Michael Saylor built an empire on one promise: never sell Bitcoin. This week, on the Q1 earnings call, after reporting a $12.5 billion loss, he said, and I quote, "We will probably sell some Bitcoin to pay a dividend." That is a seismic shift. Strategy still holds 818,000 Bitcoin, but if the largest corporate Bitcoin holder is now saying they'll sell, that changes the market psychology. Watch MSTR. Story 2. Bitcoin miners are abandoning Bitcoin. In Q1 2026, public mining companies signed over $70 billion in AI data center contracts. The average cost to mine one Bitcoin hit $79,995, above the spot price. Mining is now unprofitable for most U.S. operators. BitDeer sold its entire 943 Bitcoin reserve. Mining revenue is projected to collapse from 85% of revenue to under 20% by year-end. The people who built the Bitcoin network are leaving. Story 3, Germany kills crypto's tax exemption. Germany had one of the most crypto-friendly tax rules in the world. Hold for a year, pay zero capital gains tax. Finance Minister Klingbeil is scrapping that. Under the new plan, part of the 2027 budget, all crypto gains will be taxed at 25% regardless of how long you hold. No legislation yet, but it's expected to pass cabinet this week. If this spreads to other EU nations, it's a massive headwind for European crypto adoption. Story 4, CZ is back, and he wants Binance in the US. Changpeng Zhao, pardoned by President Trump, showed up live on stage at Consensus Miami, even though he was originally listed as virtual. He floated the idea of reviving Binance US, saying, "The best liquidity in crypto is outside the US. We would love to provide that." He also said BNB Chain is the best payment rail for AI agent transactions. The implications are massive. If Binance returns to the US market, the competitive landscape for every American exchange changes overnight. That is your full briefing for May 8th, 2026. Next week, and I want you to understand how big this is. Next week, you have the April CPI inflation report, the Clarity Act Senate markup, and a brand new Federal Reserve chair who personally owns Bitcoin, all happening at the same time. That combination has never happened before in the history of this market. You need to be informed, you need to be positioned, and you need to be watching. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, hit the bell, share this with one person who's trying to figure out crypto right now. That is the biggest thing you can do for this channel. If you want to trade crypto, I use Kraken. Link is in the description. I'll see you next week. Stay sharp.